It's podcast day. Welcome in, friends. Welcome in. Welcome to the heyBrownBerry podcast. My name is Mars, and you are welcome here. Another podcast sharing my making and thoughts with you. I'm happy to do it, and I'm happy you're here. This time around, I'm wearing a t-shirt. I love to share this. A reminder for us all. I just found it in a store while shopping with my daughters, and couldn't resist that slogan and a reminder to myself as well. So I hope you are a nice human and that you have many of them around you. In this episode, I am sharing a couple of projects I've been working on. One is a hat that's part of a make-along that's happening this month in November. And one is a pair of socks that I'm knitting. More color work on the needles. So as I share some video with you, I'll talk a little bit about each of those projects. I'm enjoying this sock knit very much. The hat is already finished, as you'll see, and I also enjoyed that, so I thought it would be good to feature them. In addition to sharing the project details, I've had just a very lovely offer from a maker, and it involves you. When working some of my sock projects, I often use this tool. This is the sock ruler, and I'll show you some close-ups of that. I have been offered by the maker of the sock ruler a couple of these to give away to some of you. So if you're able to right now below this video, let me know if you're a sock knitter, if you would like to be a sock knitter, comment anything having to do with your sock knitting journey, and I will pull for a winner to receive this sock ruler. During this episode, I will show you some ways to use it. It's a pretty handy tool for something so simple. But if you are one of the people who would like to be considered to win one, then all you have to do is comment below this video and I will draw from those comments to win a sock ruler prize. Okay? So let's get on with the rest of the episode. See you there. Working on my forest fruit socks is the second Colorwork project in as many months, and having rediscovered the joy of painting with different colors of yarn, I really sunk into this project and enjoyed doing each sock. I knit them concurrently, as I like to do. So I worked on sections of each sock, and then I would switch to its partner and complete another section or get most of the way through. This time, using the chart in the pattern, which is an excellent pattern and I highly recommend it, I found an easy way to mark off each of the colorwork rows just using 2 pieces of paper taped together with a small space in between them. Just enough space to be able to see the row that I needed to knit. Not a very high-tech solution, but super effective. The small window between the 2 pieces allows me to see the colorwork pattern and blocks out any other distractions. As I move up the pattern repeat, I'm able to mark off the completed round. As with many of my projects, especially socks, it feels good to sink into the design idea and creativity that the pattern designer has provided, and then combine that with my own individual touches. In this case, I decided to use an eye of partridge heel. The sock pattern calls for a standard slip stitch heel, but I love the look of the eye of partridge. In a recent episode, I talked about how I knit colorwork using 2 different colors and how I manage my floats by trapping one of the yarns with the other. I thought I'd show you another method I use for doing that. As I was knitting these forest fruit socks, there were rounds where I needed to trap the background color or the main color, in this case the lighter gray yarn. There were longer stretches of the contrast color, the darker gray, that allowed me to manipulate my stitches just enough that I could trap the main color yarn and create shorter floats. You can see in the video that an easy way to do that is to insert my needle under the main color before knitting the next contrast color stitch. This essentially puts the contrast color yarn over the main color yarn, trapping a small portion of the main color and creating a shorter float. By inserting my needle under the main color and then knitting a contrast color stitch normally and alternating between those 2 techniques for a few stitches, it makes for a very neat combination of colors. I found the sock ruler a very handy tool during the creation of this project. I've had this sock ruler for so long that mine is actually marked patent pending, but I know that the maker of the sock ruler has successfully received a patent for the sock ruler. Whether I'm knitting my socks from the cuff down, as I did with forest fruit, or toe up, the sock ruler is useful for helping me check in on my measurements. With this cuff down pattern, I know that I want to knit the foot of my sock to a certain measurement before beginning the decreases for the toe. By inserting the sock ruler into the foot of the sock and putting it up against the heel turn, I can measure how long I've knit so far, and then determine how many more inches I need before the toe decreases. I hope you're enjoying the content so far. I really like this method of recording things that I want to share with you and then just inserting them into each episode as we go. I am here knitting away and was thinking I wanted to talk about the Make 9 make-along. Are you familiar with Make 9? I actually saw this make-along a few years ago come across Instagram. And it looks like something that has been pretty widespread across the maker community. I'll put the details for the Make 9 challenge and other info about it in the description box. The person who started it actually goes by Home Row Fiber Co., I believe, on Instagram. And Future Mars here, checking in. That amazing maker that I mentioned who started the Make 9 challenge is Rochelle. And as I said, she is Home Row Fiber Co. And I wanted to be sure and credit her because, first of all, the Make 9 challenge is an incredible global make-along at this point, but she also has some very special project bags and other materials that she makes with some gorgeous illustrations, and so I wanted to make sure to give her credit. All right, back to the me you were watching before. I took this challenge 2 years ago, I believe, and decided I would think about 9 things I wanted to make over the course of the year. Now, I believe the original intent of the make-along was to choose 9 projects. So it was like making yourself a queue of 9 things you wanted to make, and there are several collage type views of those 9 projects. So you would pick pictures of the pattern, or maybe put the pattern name into 9 squares so you have a grid of things to remind you of what you chose for your Make 9 for the year. Oh, the sun has come to visit us. Pardon me. Let's adjust a little bit. I never mind extra light in my life. You? Yeah, me either. So you would make your plan for 9 things to make, and then don't adjust your screens. I moved again. Yeah, so if you're like me, you would check off your Make 9 projects as you go, and at the end of the year, it's a nice way to reflect. Now, I think we all start off with great intentions at the beginning of any year or any time frame, and just like any of you, I start off with great intentions of what I'd like to make. I will insert a picture of my Make 9 categories here, and I say categories specifically because instead of picking specific projects, I set up my Make 9 for project types. So the types of projects that I want to work on or the materials I want to work with become 9 themes for my making. And I've done that for a couple of years now, and last year I was successful in completing it. This year I'm almost through the list. I'm at a point where I'm going to check in on that list again. And I mention this because when it comes to these structured plans for making, I feel like there are two ways you can go. You could be very rigid about it, and at the end of the time period, you may end up feeling pretty unsatisfied with how well you did against your plan. To avoid that, I switched from picking specific patterns and designs and moved to this category method. The other way you can go is that it can motivate you completely, and it can help you to focus and put an actual positive boundary around your making, one that's chosen by you. And then at the end of the time frame, you can pat yourself on the back and feel really good about what you finished. I think all of us are different when it comes to things like that, and you may start out with one mindset and end up in another. It doesn't really matter. I mention this just because I'm always really grateful for the things that come about from these well-intended connection points, and I think this is one of them. So, like I said, I'll include the information for the maker who started this Make 9 challenge, and there are Ravelry groups and hashtags associated. If you have participated, I would love to hear about it. If you are thinking about doing it next year, assuming it will continue, tell me about it. Chat me up in the comments. I'm not sure if I'll check back in here at the end of my Make 9 for the year, but I may post about it on Instagram. I typically go back and detail the projects that I was able to complete, so be on the lookout for that if you follow me on Instagram at heyBrownBerry. Thanks to you, friends, my sock has had a few more rounds added to it. I'm looking forward to finishing these because they are such a pleasing knit. I think they will also be a very comfortable wear. That's what I wanted to share with you this time, and I love having the space to detail out what's going on in my making journey with you, and I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. Don't forget to let me know if you would like to be in for a chance to win the sock ruler. Just mention anything about your sock knitting journey in a comment. I'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. Bye for now. Mwah. This episode, as we wrap up and wind down, I'm sharing with you a bit of my process knitting a top-down hat called Set Vele. This is a woolly wormhead pattern, and it's part of the woolly wormhead re-knit-along, a collection of 12 knit-along patterns that were previously done as yearly mystery knit-alongs. I really, really enjoyed knitting this. And for just a couple of minutes, I'll share some of that stitching with you. And since this knit-along runs through the end of November, you still have time to check it out. You can find information about it in the description box below. My wish for you is a week that is full of reasons for gratitude. I'm grateful for you. I'll see you next time.